Well, a couple things that I got from today's conversation. One, Anthony does not know the 5 love languages. He's talking about how most women like quality time and something else. My 2 love languages are acts of service and physical touch. I'm a woman. Most women don't like those, just have those 2 love languages anyway. Other things that I got from tonight's conversation, the men were really focused on the amount of money that they made, and they said that women basically, looked at them for what level they were on or passed them up for not being on a certain level. But I think probably what it was is not so much they passed them up because of the money level. I think they probably passed them up because of their maturity level at that stage.
Last night was an amazing conversation. Anthony O'Neill, man, I don't know. You're starting to be a genius of our day. The conversation was amazing. The people was amazing. The food was amazing. I can't wait for part 2 tonight. I think we're going to get into some real conversation. And I love it because we have a plethora of people. People who've been married before, people who haven't been married before, people who have children, people who never had children, and you're hearing it all from a singles perspective. So I can't wait. Tonight, part 2, let's go. Anthony O'Neill and his amazing team. You guys are just geniuses.
I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's conversation. I feel like my favorite question would have to be, are you truly happy? Being single, being alone, taking that time for yourself, or is it just an image that you're trying to portray that you're happy? I would say that my piece of advice, to maximize your single time, would be just to get into those things that interest you or that otherwise make you happy and make you excited, versus focusing on what somebody else has going on, or how you can make them happy. I think that's the best way to do that.
Great conversation at dinner tonight. I can definitely tell that this is a group of people who are strongly opinionated and definitely don't mind sharing their thoughts and standing 10 toes behind what they feel and just keeping it raw and genuine. I love that. I love people who aren't afraid to speak their piece about something. One thing that Anthony said tonight that really got the table thinking was, why are you single? What is it about yourself that you find being not necessarily an issue, but a stipulation as to why you're single? And it really made everyone think, especially myself. And I definitely, the answer I gave seemed to really resonate just with myself, being able to say it aloud and really think about the things that I have going on. So definitely some thought-provoking questions tonight.
After 8 hours of traveling, or waiting to travel, I was at the airport. I finally made it to Orlando. There was a big plate of food that greeted me when I walked in. It was so good. I met some of the people that were also here. Someone gave me some banana pudding, so I had some of that. It was great. But I do have FOMO that I missed out on the conversations from earlier today. I feel like even Will, the person who drove me to the mansion, told me that it was really cool and open and honest, and I love that, and I can't wait to hear what everyone said. And just get an understanding of who is on the same page with me when it comes to dating. I think that's what I'm most excited about. But a couple of questions I wanted to touch upon. So, do I have a financial minimum bar in a relationship? Although it sucks admitting it because it sounds mean, but I do.
I think all of the questions really hit home for me, but specifically the one about legacy, because with me having children, I think about what I can pass on to them and how they can remember me and what they will say about me once I'm gone, as well as my friends and family members and anybody that I might have touched, whether it was through podcasting, whether it was through my career, that is important to me, what people will say when you're gone. And not in the sense of I'm concerned about like what people think about me, but it's just like, you know that you lived a fulfilled life and a very meaningful life when the people that are around you, you know, mourn your loss or mourn their loss of you. And they say all these things and all these great memories that you were able to create with everybody that you impacted.
In some of the conversations, I've questioned if I've really maximized my single season. I think, though, the overall feeling for me tonight, after this, after talking about singleness at 50, my thought has been that I really don't want to do that anymore. I think it's time for me to do something different, to go to the next stage of my life. While I've been enjoying the conversation, the next closest person in age to me here is 13 years younger. So I'm like the resident old guy. And I think I'm just hoping that I'm bringing value to the conversation, that I'm adding something.
I got a question for you. So why is it that we rush to be married? Because everyone's talking about, hey, go get you a man, go get you a woman, chase the ring, but you ain't chased your own life. You know, here's the funny thing. You know, as I'm traveling around the world and I'm on TV, from Tamron Hall to Fox and Friends to the Rachel Ray shows, one of the most common questions I have been asked is, Anthony, how did you build your success? And it's simple. I didn't focus on getting into a relationship. I maximized my single season. And that is why I created this course. We're gonna walk through 8 pillars on how to maximize your single season and really tap into that potential that's on the inside of you that you really haven't brought out. There's some assignments, there's some constructive thinking that you're gonna have to really put into place so that way you can start building your life. Because when we have ownership, we have freedom. When we have freedom, it creates different opportunities. When we have opportunities, there's so much you can do with your future family. But it starts right now. You own your mind. You own your thoughts. God has given you something. Go do it. With ladies, if the guy is older, they tend to look up to the guy easier and better than the guy being younger. And so for me, what I've learned is someone around my age bracket, we tend to compete a lot. If she's younger than me, she looks up and she values me more. Successful ladies around my age or older, Tyra, remember when I got in the Ebony magazine, bro, she was like, oh, that's good, I expect you to do that.
Right.
I'm like, celebrate. You remember that.
Yeah.
Younger ladies would have been, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Like every man wants to feel like he's celebrated.
Right.
Older ladies, nah, T. Y'all celebrate, but it was...
Right, he just said older ladies don't celebrate their man. And he said, I am secretly
I said older ladies that I've dated.
And want
I
to
just
just
said, I said I've dated. So my experience has shown me that most ladies who are successful and older come with the different, they respect the man, but it's a different kind of respect that I desire. And most younger ladies, it's almost like they pretty much work. My mom said this in its best, let's start to this conversation. She said, find a woman that adores the ground that you walk on. That's what I want.
You want your ass kissed. That's what he wants.
He want a maid.
I have no problem saying that. Because y'all ladies, when a guy that's gonna be pleasing you emotionally, that's another level of ass kissing.
So
and men like kissing too.
Is words of affirmation one of yours?
That's my love language.
Yeah, right.
Physical touch.
But that makes sense though.
That's
It's one of mine too. So one thing that I do, I gas up anybody that I date. Like I can look at the smallest thing and be like, oh my gosh, your sandals. Like, oh, you look so good in them sandals. Like, ooh, you walking like Jesus or something. You know, like, but that's my love language. That's how I communicate. That's why I was saying, like, with me being in my 30s, if I was dating you and you got an Ebony magazine, my response would be like, oh my gosh, babe. So that's how come I was like, that don't make sense to me.
And that's one thing I wanted to talk to us about, especially like this weekend. Like, I don't know if I like the word regret, but I do have regrets. And I've learned a lot. I put myself on blast. Jeremy was with me. Shoot, I was 23, 24 when we was coming back from Bishop Jake's thing in the car.
Somewhere in there.
I was young, right? And I dated this one particular woman who was amazing. And I treated her like crap. I treated her like crap. Vocally, treated her wrong. Never cheated on her, but I didn't treat her the way that she deserved, right? And as I'm older, I'm extremely happy for where she's at in life right now. But when I look at that situation, I'm like, yo, you did her wrong. I had to learn from it. I regret it. While I'm learning, while I regretted it, right? I also celebrated her for where she's at. Married, with kids, happy. But if I can go back to my younger self, I would go back and cuss myself out, and I would not let that go. I'm curious, do any of you all here, do y'all have any regrets? And if you have some regrets, how have you moved on? How have you forgiven yourself? And how have you learned from it? Because I just forgave myself from that, maybe about like right before I got engaged. And it took me a while. And when she got married, honestly, I was so happy for her because she deserved happiness. Do any of you all have any similar situations?
Mine is different. Like, it's the opposite. I regretted getting married because I was not prepared for it like I thought I was. And when I met him, I was going through some emotional issues from a previous situation, and it wasn't fair to him because I feel like he was full in the beginning before we got married, but I wasn't emotionally available for him when we first got together. It was like he was nice, he pursued me and everything because I wasn't, naturally or physically attracted to him. I just saw him as my friend and we connected musically. So when we started dating, I didn't realize that I wasn't really ready for marriage. And I regret that because I don't know what I could have potentially done to him that affects him now in the dating space. And so I always say that I have apologized for not being ready for that specific relationship. And that is a regret because the last thing I would want is to have a negative effect on somebody, with me being in my shortcomings and my flaws. But how I've grown from that is that, that was an experience that I was able to experience and be able to share with other people. Hopefully that they won't jump into it. Like I tell my friends all the time, it's better for you to be 40, 45, whatever age, and getting married to the right person than to be 23, 24, getting married to the wrong person. And that's one of my biggest regrets. Even though I'm grateful for the children that I have with him, I'm grateful for the family dynamic, like I'm still cool with his mom, dad, and sister. Like we spent Thanksgiving with his new girlfriend. Well, I spent Thanksgiving with him and his new girlfriend. So I'm happy to see that he's moving on, and hopefully nothing that I did will cause him to have any other issues.
My situation was a little similar to what you're saying, but I don't think I regret anything simply because I was able to speak up, and say what I did wrong or where I went wrong. I don't know if you have or if you did put him to the side and just be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I did this, but I know why I did this, and I do realize that this is wrong and could affect you this type of way. So for that reason, I feel like once we speak up, it's no longer our responsibility to wonder if a person is gonna it's their job to heal. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, yeah, we may have been the unfortunately the person that caused it, but it's not like our job once we take responsibility to speak up and like apologize and genuinely say like, I hurt you, I was not emotionally available, I was immature, I didn't speak up and say this, and hopefully you can forgive me. And at that point, I think that should give them a sense of comfort to be able to like go forward with whomever else in life and not be salty towards you for the rest of their days.
Everybody just looked at me.
Looking like
You move, bro.
hey,
You
so
move. And it's making people think, too.
Oh, I mean, like everybody just.
Now, let me
so-
ask you this question. I'm going to say no names. Do you regret leaving old girl?
So, you don't have to say names or
Yeah.
references to any particular period of my life.
Okay.
all right.
I have.
My show.
I have many regrets.
Benny?
Yes.
Not just one?
No.
Wow.
Like, so yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So how has God blessed you then if you had that many regrets?
Well, I don't think that God's blessings are predicated on me having regrets. I acknowledge where I was wrong in some of those situations. Well, but I regret a few things. No, so I never ever wanted to regret being married or taking somebody through that. So the way I chose to live my life for so many years was, at least I didn't, I'm not gonna get divorced. I was like, I'm gonna live, and once I do this or when I do this, that's what it's gonna be. And I'm gonna pick the right person and have the right situation based on my not wanting to have regret, in being married. I've seen all of my friends, or I've seen friends around me, most of the people that I knew that got married younger were either not happy or they got divorced. So when I entered relationships with women, I didn't think about, like what this would cause them as a result of me not wanting to be there, because that didn't mean that they didn't want to be married when we entered it. Sitting around today, I found it really interesting to talk to all of these young people about maximizing our single season. I think if I had these conversations 20, 25 years ago, things would have been different in my own life, I believe. And I think I'm really excited about that now, that my daughter has the opportunity to hear this, and my two younger children who are 15 and 16 will have the topic of maximizing your singleness, something that they can walk into their early 20s hearing. And actually maybe watching this on whatever social media platform, or watching this replayed and seeing their dad at 50 talking about wishing that I had the opportunity to experience this conversation 20 years ago. I believe that my life would have ultimately been different if I'd heard this conversation in the groups that I grew up in. I think that we all would have been different. So this was a really cool experience to have that conversation and to look around and see that people who are younger than me are actually making a difference right now with the old cats. And I didn't always say that. So if I have one big regret, it would be that I didn't inform everybody up front, because I didn't really know at the time. I think I told you guys earlier, in my reflection is when I really realized that I didn't do this because I didn't want to. You know what I mean? I could have been, and there were opportunities with wonderful women where I could have, but I regret not really knowing myself enough to be able to say that out loud.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because if I knew that, then I wouldn't have the regret of hurting them.
Absolutely.
So I think that there is at the basis of this is my regret for me not knowing me well enough to say, yo, look, just say I don't want to be married right now, or I'm not gonna be here, because without saying that, it gave hope to something that I knew I wasn't gonna have because of the major regret that I had at the beginning of my life. I found I found someone that I thought was everything. And what I did in that situation caused it to end. And like you, we were about the same age when those things happened in our lives with that person. I was stuck there on what she should look like, what she should do, what she should be. And when I didn't find that in other people, I was like, okay, I'll wait.
So good.
I don't think I have regrets. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm so happy of where I am in my life right now. If anything, if I go regret something in my life changed, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at. But I'm so happy with where I'm at. There's many points in my life where I wish my life circumstances were different, but I wouldn't call that regret because I can't really. That's not an active choice I could have made there.
Yeah.
So nothing you would change about your past?
No, I didn't. No. I mean, it's like with the circumstances I was born with, I am happy with the way my life turned out.
But I can agree with you though, because even though I regret it, I feel like I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't experienced
So
it.
do you really regret it though? That's my thing.
It's a catch-22. You know, I regret for hurting somebody that I probably could not have hurt it if that made sense.
Right.
Probably.
Right, because ultimately what I just said was I regret not knowing myself enough to tell them.
Right.
So right now I'm pretty cool with me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So the regret is hurting them.
A whole bunch of women want to hurt you.
But then
I'm just playing. Yeah, I heard that. Because you heard of you.
if you didn't hurt them, how would you know how to not hurt them again? Like, you don't. You know?
You don't really but I mean, it's still, why do I gotta learn at the cost of your feelings? Like,
But this is life though, right?
I understand that's life, but
Yeah, so
I didn't have to hurt her feelings. I didn't have to go off on her the way I went off.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I've massively harmed anyone, so I think that's also, I don't have regrets.
So yours is only if it goes a certain distance.
Yeah, it's like I have
a certain point.
Yeah, like I say if I massively
and who gauges that hurt, you or him?
Probably me.
Yeah,
he
of
gotta
course, like to
win.
be the winner. Right. So he won the argument, he won whatever.
He gonna be winning. He gonna be the youngest. He gonna be the best looking. He gonna be the wealthiest.
Right.
What else, Par?
Smartest. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was tickling me.
I mean, he got something to add every time.
Every time, bro.
How about you? Like, you guys?
Yeah, I've
no regrets.
apologized. I've apologized to one of my ex-boyfriends before, and it was
What, making too much money?
This is why I can't.
Every conversation.
Every time he thinks about my money more than I think about
I
my money.
sure do. You know what I'm saying? I love messing with her though.
So this one was it was a high school sweetheart, but like he.
No,
you know
no,
how you don't.
no.
What?
I'm talking about grown people stuff. We don't hear about no high school people.
This was important to me just the same way you still stuck 20 years ago. You
Terry,
stuck
you
20 years
30-something years
ago.
old. Can we talk about someone in your adulthood life, please? You don't have any regrets as an adult woman?
I do, but this one was important. I think that this was one
Let's at least let us hear it. Let's hear it.
In my adult life is when I apologized to him. I apologized to him within the last 10 years. I apologized. So
For hurting him in high school.
Yeah.
We've all heard.
But you don't know how that shaped how he moved with other women.
How did it affect him?
Right. Well, he's engaged to someone now, or he's married now and has a kid. But he accepted the apology. I think that I hurt him. He loved me.
So when Terry was talking about the high school love, you know what? I'm gonna give her this. I understand her premise, but I did think it was quite hilarious because at the end of the day, we're in a different state of mind, frame of mind when we're talking about high school love. But I do understand her premise. I think her premise was it was kind of a more innocent love. And so I think as adults, when we get older, we kind of lose that sometimes. Not everybody, sometimes. And I think what she was really talking about was really pulling us back to that innocent love and seeing what we can get from those moments.
And I hurt him.
Y'all loved each other in high school?
Yeah.
But you know
that's
what?
High school love is deep.
But that might help him be better. Because you hear men all the time, oh, I got hurt in high school, or I got hurt in kindergarten, and that's why I don't trust women now.
Yeah. Right, they don't.
There are some men that are like that.
Some women hurt
believe
them
high
back in the day.
You really believe in high school you really felt love?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I think
some
men get hurt then, and that shapes who they are.
Yeah. Like it'll grow. Like the most love you felt is like that first love, because you never had love.
That was just.
But you didn't know that. You didn't know that until you got a better love, and you're like, oh, that's real love, not what I had before. Then you got even better when you're like, oh, that was love.
That's just a bunch of emotions.
I feel like that high school love is when people really know you, like you as a like your character. Like it's not about bills and work and all the extra. They like you all know each other.
Well, I don't think you know you in high school.
Love.
Yeah.
Like this day and age, these kids they not dating.
Well, they on Instagram. They don't even talk to each other.
I don't think I knew. In high school, I don't think we know ourselves.
Exactly.
But I understand that this might be
because
important.
You're growing together. I think that's a very unique experience.
Yeah, I understand I understand what you guys
are trying to
say. Trying to say in terms of your formative years.
Mm-hmm. No, we're not saying us. I'm saying that men have said, I dated somebody in high school. She broke my heart, and now that's why I dog it out.
Broken my heart doesn't mean I was in love.
No, just saying that like the girl did something to her, did something to him, and that's why now he just a dog. Like basically because of this old thing. So what she was saying was that the fact that Harry spoke up could have given this person solace, because he could have been carrying that.
Yeah, man, I need to go back and apologize about like 10 more ladies.
They still remember.
I know I heard something back in middle school and high school. I ain't going that. I ain't doing that.
So today when we were talking all together about the high school experience that Terry was sharing with us, the guys were a little rude, I would say, to kind of invalidate that this high school love counts as anything and to request for something more recent. I don't believe that having something more recent necessarily means something. I feel like for us women, we learn love at a very young age through these like high school relationships. And what we learn from these relationships continue on as we're learning and building relationships with new people. So I think it was very valid for Terry to bring up this high school crush that she had and how it affected her life. And I feel like the guys could have taken it a little bit easy by saying like, no, give us a real story, give us a recent story. That was not right. I totally support Terry. I've had experiences like that too, where in high school they affected me, and later on in life I'm like, damn, like this is something that triggered me from high school, and I still feel it today. Some kind of trauma. So I totally support Terry there.
But the thing I apologize for, well, and there are other ones, so I could say another one too. But this one.
What about the most recent one?
Why are you in my business?
I'm not in your business. I'm asking you a question.
Can I complete my sentence? Anyway, I would like to just say for the record that Anthony is not the boss of me. He think he is. No, Anthony's a really great guy. He's one of my closest friends, especially during this last season. Like, we talk all the time. Like, he's a great guy. Even though he acts like he can tease me, he is not the boss of me. So the one I was talking about, like, I was so dogmatic about, like, holding my point that, like, I didn't hear him. And that's what I had to apologize for. Because, like, I was like, okay, if we're gonna stay together, like, say yes or no, we're gonna stay together. And he said an answer that was like,
The answer you didn't want to hear?
No. The thing was, now that when I thought back on it, I realized he was saying no, but I wasn't listening to him to hear that he was saying, he was saying like we should stay together, but I wasn't listening to him. So like I just assumed that because he said this extra sentence and didn't just say yes right away, that meant that it was a no. And so like I like literally was like, well, if you don't say yes, again, I know this has been a while back, but like it impacts today. Like if you don't say if you didn't say yes, I'm gonna go upstairs. Like I left the situation and then didn't think about the fact that like he actually had told me he wanted to stay together, but I didn't hear him. And so we broke up, and like we were gonna go to the same college. Like he was making plans to whatever school I go to, he would go to. Like it was a big deal. So I had to come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. Like I didn't hear that right. And I feel like he was one of my biggest loves. Like I loved him and he knew me. So that's a regret that I have. Like if we had stayed together, we would have kids and stuff by now.
So why?
So do you think?
My bad. I was just wanting to know if he was saying yes, like how you didn't.
Because he did one of
didn't say
those
yes.
roundabout. He said, I can understand why you feel that way, but I don't think so. So in my head, since I just didn't immediately hear yes, then I was like, oh, I just didn't hear it. So I guess it's just a thing of like, as we grow up, now we know to listen better and to like.
So that goes back to what you were saying earlier about comprehending.
Right.
Men and women talk differently, and we're talking, but are we comprehending each other?
Right. We're communicating, and like we say, well, you got to communicate. But you got to understand the communication also includes the resolve to communication is comprehension. So when people say, I need to communicate, or you got to communicate in your relationship, you can communicate and talk your face off. But if the person on the other end doesn't comprehend what you're saying, then this is all for naught. But, at the end of the day, I think that's what we're all looking for. Did that change you, though?
Because I kept loving him and was mad at myself because I made the decision for us not to be together, but I still loved him. So all through college, even like both of us ended up being in Chicago at the same time, I was still hoping like, well, maybe we'll rekindle. But I was the one that made that decision.
So are you different today? Today, as a result of understanding your comprehension of that moment, are you still as headstrong if you're in a relationship to say, okay, I gotta go?
Good question.
I listen more. I think I'm much better at listening to men. I think I'm also not as gun-ho on a point. Like, you know how some people can dig their feet in and just like, I'm not gonna change my mind, I'm not gonna do. It's like, no, if I said something, it's okay to have some, like I can change my mind. Like we can change our minds together,
That's right, you, Jay.
Jay had to take his glasses off. Doc, something happened in his life.
My man got Lisa. Oh Lord, I'm
Y'all funny.
You crying, bro?
No. Let me just put the glasses back on, because apparently y'all thought something was happening. But, no.
I said that's sexy, because you got your glasses on.
Oh, shit, let me keep the glasses on. But I can definitely say
both of y'all are single, just want you to call it out.
This is a single marriage.
Isn't she out of his age range, though?
He can make adjustments.
Oh, he can make adjustments.
He can. I don't know if she can make adjustments. Well, no, she did say young.
Yeah, she said 23.
He's in her. He's in her.
I like how y'all orchestrating this whole thing right now. So I'm just being observant.
Get that money, bro. Get the lady. Go ahead, Jay. Any regrets, man?
Yeah, I would say regrets that probably shaped me the most is probably a situation I had in college. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about at the table when I said I had to learn patience, right? And in that patience, I learned how to be considerate. And at the time, I lacked that completely. I was very impatient. You can even go as far as call me selfish, just based on my actions and how I wasn't taking her emotions, the things that she was doing, going out of her way, and being considerate of me. I wasn't taking that into consideration and reciprocating that energy. And so it backfired, obviously.
I was not surprised when I heard Jay, voice that he discovered he was a little bit selfish. Not because of any type of discriminatory reason or me judging, but I think just in general, guys oftentimes do tend to be more selfish than women just naturally. So it was cool to hear that he was able to identify that was something that he needed to work on, but I don't really think I was necessarily shocked to hear him express that.
I got a question for you. So why is it that we rush to be married? Because everyone's talking about, hey, go get you a man, go get you a woman, chase the ring, but you ain't chased your own life. Here's the funny thing. As I'm traveling around the world and I'm on TV, from Tamron Hall to Fox and Friends to the Rachel Ray shows, one of the most common questions I have been asked is, Anthony, how did you build your success? And it's simple. I didn't focus on getting into a relationship. I maximized my single season. And that is why I created this course. We're gonna walk through 8 pillars on how to maximize your single season and really tap into that that potential that's on the inside of you that you really haven't brought out. There's some assignments, there's some constructive thinking that you're going to have to really put into place so that way you can start building your life. Because when we have ownership, we have freedom. When we have freedom, it creates different opportunities. When we have opportunities, there's so much you can do with your future family. But it starts right now. You own your mind. You own your thoughts. God has given you something. Go do it.
But after that situation, I really did a lot of self-evaluating because I started to notice a trend in myself after the fact. And so that's when I realized, okay, at the time, I think I thought I was just tripping. Like, yes, maybe she's tripping, it's not really me. She can just go do whatever. And I came to the realization that no, it's you, right? So once I really figured that out and came to terms with it, then I had to figure out how can I fix it. And so it's something I've worked on time and time and time again. And I really feel like I've come to a point now, present day, where I'm where I need to be in that regard.
So good.
And so it was a blessing and a curse. It was a curse because I had to learn those lessons at the expense of someone else, right? And I hate that she was collateral damage for that. But I did go back and apologize.
That's good.
Right? We actually stopped talking for about 4 years. Like 4 to 5 years. And she just kind of hit me up one day. She didn't want to let the year pass. She was like, I just want to let you know that regardless of everything we went through, you meant something to me. You were impactful in my life, and I'm appreciative to ever know you.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was like, that's crazy, because I was just thinking about her. Wow. How could I bring this to her without sounding like I'm just bringing it out of the blue?
Yeah.
And that was my gateway. That was me being able to go ahead and set up the time to talk to her, kind of go over everything that kind of happened, be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
Right? And apologize. And we're friends to this day.
Wow, that's good stuff.
I'm curious. I think a lot of people, man, in this single season, I'm always seeing people teaching men how to be high-value men and teaching ladies how to attract a high-value man or that crap, right?
All right, Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, and for me, no one's really teaching us how to be single. So not focusing on relationship-driven, what are we doing here to work on ourselves? To maximize this single season. I mess with Terry because she's a close friend, but when I look at Terry in one section of her life, she's maximized. She's not waiting for a man to provide. She's going out there providing and helping other families provide. What are we doing in our single season that has nothing to do with being more attractive for the future husband, making ourselves more attractive for the future, spouse? What are we working on internally during this single season?
So I think a lot about what are things I can only do when I'm single. So that's a question I like to ask myself. So things like I was talking to Demi about this a couple hours ago. It's I want to do a big world trip by myself where I go and look at, because I'm really interested in education, look at the best schools in the world. And I just want to observe. And it's I can't ditch a relationship for a lot of months to do that. But I can do that and grow a lot from that when I'm alone. Same thing with hanging out or spending a lot of time with my friends. When I'm in a relationship, obviously that you have to the only certain amount of hours in a day, so you have to take away from your existing friendships. But I love my friends and I love hanging out with my friends. And while I'm in my 20s, I know this is just statistically speaking, your number of friends peak at 25. From that's New York Times said that. So I've been really conscious of that number. So I've been trying to really maximize my friendships right now, because I know when I'm in a relationship I just can't do that.
Yeah. And I want to piggyback off of you about friendships, because when I was married, I completely disconnected from my friends, and now we spend more time together. I talk to my closest best friend basically every day, and I didn't realize how important it was to have separate relationships outside of my own, relationships. But moving now like, it's totally different now because I have children. My focus is on them, but also realizing that my focus is not only them.
Yeah.
Like, they're a priority, but they're not my only priority.
Yeah.
And I focus on like my self-love, my anxiety, you know, because I suffer with a lot of anxiety. And I've noticed that, you know, moving in more positive spaces, being able to travel because I did not go anywhere the entire time I was married, and just experiencing new things. Like, I realized I'm one of the most uncultured people that you would meet because I'm very knowledgeable about things, but I haven't experienced life. I haven't, like, on my way here, I panicked because I had to check my bag at the last minute, and I've never had to do that before because I haven't, like, visit a lot of places as of now. And so I'm just realizing that I'm having these real life experiences as a single person and as a single mother that I've never experienced before. But I feel like it's beneficial for me because when I move into my next relationship, I probably won't have some of the same issues that I've had before. And I'll be confident and, you know, more independent, not in a bad way, but not too dependent on somebody else because I was so dependent on having a man and so forth to do all these things for me.
Demi, how old are you?
Yeah, how old am I?
Yeah.
28.
28. How long have you been single? Like, when's your last relationship?
A little less than a year.
For real?
Yeah.
So between then and now, I'm curious, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
To work on yourself.
So one of my friends told me this like philosophy that I've been trying to do, like make one decision per day that makes you happy. Like either it's like have a chocolate if you want to have a chocolate, or like plan a trip. So I feel like I'm more on the same page with Parth with like making decisions that won't affect anyone else. I feel like when you're in a relationship, you always have to consult someone with decisions you make. And I like that freedom of like, if I want to stay out of the bar later, I don't have to tell anybody. I just do it. If I want to take a trip somewhere and I see a cheap flight, I could just book it. I don't have to ask someone or convince someone. Like,
so you
hey,
travel by yourself too?
Yeah, multiple places.
Me too.
Yeah.
I went to Mexico and people's like,
yeah, it's
what do you
normal.
mean?
Exactly.
I'm in Mexico.
Yeah, I think it's normal. I feel like people look down on it. They're like, oh, aren't you lonely? And I don't think it's about loneliness. I feel like it's about doing what you want on your schedule and like meeting people on the way there and like getting out of your comfort zone. So the first solo trip I went on, I went to like Germany, and it was like after a relationship. I was heartbroken, I was single, I went to a bar, people started talking to me, and then like a few years later I actually moved to that city I visited because I had like such a great experience. So it's about like making these decisions that you don't have to like consult with anyone on. You just do what you want that makes you happy and then see where it goes from there.
I think the answer is whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If that's the gym, if that's the random trip, if that's the touring the world, you want to tour the world. Like,
but it feels good.
Liberating.
Because for so long I've had to consider everybody. I had to consider my spouse and my kids. And now, of course, I still have to consider my kids, but with us having like, they're with their dad for a certain amount of time, they're with me for a certain amount of time. So when I have my free time, I can do whatever the hell I want to do in that free time, and it feels good. Like, I didn't realize that it's okay to be selfish a little bit, because you need that selfishness to take care of you.
You know,
Go ahead.
like, that's actually one of the reasons why, for me, maximizing my season, it's been, I want to explore everywhere that I can, because I know that when I do have husband and kids, I won't be able to do those things anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Not anymore, not as much.
not as much, you're right. But I'll have to consider, like, there's even this scripture, y'all know I'm a spiritual person, but it's like the person who's married has to think about like her husband and the things of the world, but the one who's single just has to focus on God. And it's just kind of like, in this season, I can really focus on all these other things, but I know that I'm gonna have to like worry about like my kids' soccer schedule and where are they gonna go to school and all those other things once I do like have family.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
I think the freedom that a lot of people are speaking on is a common denominator amongst this. I agree, but I don't agree with that in the sense of just having the free time to do what I want. For me, it's more career driven, because in the line of work that I'm in, I could be in Houston one day, and then in the next month I could be in DC because, you know, I got another job offer, and it switches just like that. You know, I could get a year-long contract, or within 3 months, the contract ends, and another one begins in relocation all over again. And so, and that's just how the sports industry works, you know. And I need, knowing that I have to have someone who understands that right now, I don't feel like having to go through that, explaining that to someone right now. I just want to embrace it, live in it, see where it takes me, and then get to the point where it's not a factor anymore, right? And on the flip side, on another point of, you know, maximizing my single season is just being 100% transparent. I've never been comfortable in my own skin, ever. I've never understood my full potential. I've never been able to maximize that because I didn't have a comprehension. And I think as of recent, you know, that's why when I turned 27, I call this is my life in 4K, right? Because now I want to see everything for exactly what it is, for all of my potential, flaws and all, everything, so I can know exactly what my value is and what I actually do bring to the table 100%. And so that's what maximizing looks like for me.
One of the reasons why I'm really excited about being connected with younger people is that I get to see how you all think, opposed to the way we did, the way we thought about things 25 years ago, right? So maximizing my single season wasn't even something that we that's not the way we talked. It's like at 23, to say what you're saying is blowing my mind when I'm thinking about being 23. So what I would say today for me, something that I have done within the last few years to improve who I am, because I've been single all my life, really. So I've never been married, and I understand you talk about dating, and I don't know how committed I was to any real relationships in terms of me having to answer to somebody. That's not really been my thing. You know, I'm being honest. I mean, I've been in relationships, but me answer to you, like, no. Like, I'm not, that's what I thought of myself. Mm-hmm. So I think the most impactful thing I've done in the last 5 years to improve myself was therapy.
Yeah.
Yep. For me to go to therapy, for one, was not something that we do in terms of our community, right? And then in my age group, it was something, and then to come from my religious background, it was even more something, because I was supposed to be able to find out through seeking God who I was and what I was, and he was supposed to show me, and he does, and he is, and he leads, he does all of those things. But the way that they were trying to show us, go to the altar, get prayed, but therapy did more for me than any altar call or anything else, because I had this judgment-free zone who I could talk to without judgment, and it actually made me like look inwardly. Yes. Because my therapist, she was the greatest of all times, and we have these sessions, and then she said, so what would you? It would never be her telling me what to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would always be her pointing me back to me to find my own answers. So I think that made me look at myself more than anything else, and having introspective resolutions is what causes you to improve, I think, right? Yeah. So if I had to point at one thing that made me or strengthens who I am today, and when I'm looking back in retrospect at who I was, I would say that therapy has been the biggest propeller for me.
I will second that as well. And if anyone's second guessing or questioning, like, it's definitely beneficial. Like, full circle.
I remember like growing up in like an Asian households, like therapy was always like really like looked down upon, I would say. So I started going recently because my teachable health insurance covers some of it. I was like, all right, it's $15 copay, I'm in. And,
it's pretty cheap.
You like it?
One of the best, best decisions of my life, for sure.
I mean,
therapy's dope.
One of the things I believe, some of the decisions, and honestly, I'll put myself out there. I've been in a relationship with some great, I'll say two of them, great ladies, but I ruined it. I ruined it because I chased her before I fixed me.
Right.
That's good.
And I think it's because the culture teaches someone like at my age, you're 35. Well, at that time, I was 35, and most recently, I was 36, 37. I was chasing her. Man, you're young, you're successful, you got this going on. Why don't you have a woman? You're crazy, da da da. So I was chasing her, but no one really sat down and said, Anthony, hey man, focus on this. And then when I started going to therapy, bro, like you said, I'll be blaming someone else, blaming them. And then I really realized, like, yo, Anthony, there's some things inside of you that goes back to not high school, but goes back to my parents. Goes back to what happened with my biological mom and dad that I was exposed to at 18 that caused me to look at ladies a little different because of what I found out what happened and transpired between my mom and dad. It makes me look at things differently, and I didn't know that until I went to therapy. And I was doing things based upon something so internal that I really didn't understand until therapy brought it out. So I tell everyone, again, not a relationship expert, I'm all about maximizing a single season, but before you get into a committed relationship, not only should you talk about finances, but you should go see a therapist.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you are healed, that you are whole, and at least you know what you need to be working on as you're progressing, because we can force things on our significant other, not intentionally, but non-intentionally, because it's like, yo, I didn't even know I was dealing with this. And so I think that's one of the things that, with me being single, now I don't chase the woman anymore. I maximize my singleness. I'm building wealth. I'm focusing on me. I'm going to therapy. I'm growing spiritually. I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone more. And then what I'm doing is, as long as I just stay in that lane, I think I'll find love. But I put myself out there, and I realize, I will openly admit, even the last relationship that I was in, a great woman, I messed that one up. I clearly messed that one up because of me really chasing her. And I'll be like this. She was like, hey, we're going to abstain. I was like, bet, cool, great. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Didn't hug her, didn't kiss her, didn't hold her hands. We sat down and watched a movie. I'm right here, she's over there near Terry. And that was such he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to be close to me. He doesn't care about me. And I'm like, no, I just don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
But I didn't really understand that I was sending a message non-intentionally that I don't like you, I think you're unattractive, I really don't care about you. And there were some other things in there too that, I have no problem admitting, because I think, like we said earlier, when we can be man enough to admit our faults, I think that's when God will trust us even more with the next season. But I'm curious, for you all in the dating stages, have you all ever messed up a good relationship? It wasn't their fault. I'm not saying that they were perfect, but you messed it up.
Yes.
So I'll finally give you the other one, since y'all
Thank
said
you. Is it,
I can't be
is
in
this like
high
your
school.
grown season?
This is a grown one.
Lord Jesus, she was talking about high school.
I messed this one up because of fear.
Fear of what?
Fear of, honestly, so this one was, I was going to meet his family. His family was in Florida and I was in Chicago. So I had found flights. I had told him that, yes, I'm coming. And then I got scared. I got scared of meeting the family. I got scared of the unknowns. I had never been to Florida, scared that I wasn't gonna like it. So I just chickened out, and then I didn't show up.
You backed out?
I backed out.
Wow. His mama thought you were coming?
Yeah. That girl, bye.
So when Terry was talking about how she backed out of the trip with the guy she was seeing last moment, that was shocking. Knowing, understanding Terry, I never saw her as a person who would kind of do that. That to me is just a shitty thing to do. This guy organized an entire family to see his mom, his dad, his sibling. I would never do that to someone. Even if I knew I wasn't gonna go forward with them, I would just suck it up for a weekend. That was crazy to me.
So
Did you even call him and say you weren't coming?
Yes, I let him know.
Last minute?
Yeah, like, so it was supposed to be a surprise, but he found out about the surprise, and then I decided not to show up. So I think that it was just kind of like, wait, you're coming tomorrow, right? Like, you're coming. And I'm like, no, I canceled the flight. I'm gonna go home and be with my family instead of yours. Yeah.
His whole family knew you was coming?
Well, it's just his mom and dad and sister.
Oh,
His mama knew you were coming. Yeah, that's everybody.
I ain't worried about the daddy or my sister. It's
Like,
the
Yeah,
mom.
oh my gosh, y'all making me
He was hurt.
do this all over again.
I mean,
yeah.
his mama knew you were coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Girl,
So I was
So did
scared.
he end it or did you end it?
he did.
He did, but we stayed together for a little while after that. But then he ended it.
Yeah.
What he said though was that he wasn't ready to be in a relationship. But I think what I did impacted it a lot.
Yeah, I think he wasn't ready to deal with you in the relationship.
Right.
Dang.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Because if he was open enough to saying yes
Come
for
meet
you
my
to come
mama.
Yeah.
and meet his mama,
He was ready for you.
yeah,
He was ready
yeah.
for a relationship.
So yeah, he wasn't ready for what you might present to his family on the other side, and there was nowhere else for you to go. So because he had already felt like you had gone far enough to go further, but you hit this glass ceiling at this moment. So where else are we gonna go? Because she's not gonna take the other step to go here. So all right, well, I'll see you later.
I'm telling you, he was hurt.
Yeah.
And he really didn't want to experience that again.
No. And men, we hate being hurt. Yeah, that's
Not
a
just
struggle.
hurt, embarrassed in front of your mama.
Yeah. But it wasn't
His
that.
mama.
Like,
Yeah.
it was.
No, that's real.
No, there was that.
Yeah.
Don't, you got men telling you that
I'm
was real.
listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, thank you. You just said you struggle with listening. Please listen.
Oh shit.
I wanted to say shut up, but then that would help your point that I wasn't listening. Anyway.
Say shut up.
Thank you guys. Well, thank y'all for being not judgmental while I was
we're not
transparent.
But
No,
we're
that
just
was a
saying
great
that.
moment.
Like, that's rough.
Good job.
Yeah, good job.
like that.
Did you apologize to him?
For not shutting up.
Yeah. Ooh.
You know what? I don't think.
Call him right now. But you ain't call him.
Well, we
Where's the
were
phone?
like the thing is though we were friends, so we were in the same clique. I had to see him after we broke up, like
But
almost
again,
every
you
week.
never apologized to him, but you apologized to the high school.
Then
So I
we need
guess
to take a
maybe
break
I
and let her
do
come
need
make a call.
to apologize.
You need to call him.
Now.
Right now.
In front of all of us.
On the confessional
Yeah, right.
and apologize.
You know his number?
Yeah.
Well, she got it.
Oh, call him.
I know she got it. Yeah, it ain't with
I think
no
that'd be some interesting
same
TV.
name and everything.
One day I will call.
You know,
No, listen, that would be
Damn.
great for the show.
Come on, live right here in person. Let's go.
Go ahead.
call that.
Call him. Call him right now.
If you're watching this show, I just want to say I'm sorry for not showing up for you, and I just am really sorry about that.
She means it.
That was
That
sincere.
really feel genuine.
That was
Yes.
sincere.
She means it.
What are ways y'all have grown? So we talked about like you grow in like good ways. What are ways you've grown over the past years like negatively? I think my ego's gotten worse
Yeah, we kind of heard it.
over the last couple years.
He said we've heard it.
My arrogant brother.
Hey, because nothing's wrong with him.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I think in high school I thought I was hot shit, and then college my esteem dropped quite a bit, and then recently it's gone up again. But I wish
I got a
was
question.
more humble.
Why?
Why what?
Why did it
Has
drop?
it going up?
And why did it drop too?
Why did it drop first? And then why did
Yeah.
Okay, so in high school, I was really used to, I was like that kid. I was, valedictorian, like captain of sports teams, I felt like hot shit.
What sports you play?
I played water polo and swim, yeah. And then in college, I went to Berkeley. I went to like a good school with other people, a lot of other Indian people studying engineering who are a lot smarter than me. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm not the smartest one anymore. And they're like, oh, there are other. Before I was also the only Indian at my school, and now here, like, oh, there are other Indians who look better than me too. All right, this is a real thing. But recently, I think I've gone towards a more like unique path for myself. I've stopped like comparing myself to others, so my ego has gotten better.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah. For me, it would be like the value of time. So it sounds like it's a good thing, like you value your time more, but I feel like it's been negative for me because if my friends ask me to do something that I don't want to do, I'll just be like, no, this is not worth my time. Like, I don't want to spend my time for this. And people are like, damn, like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not be indoors. I want to be out during this time. It's Friday night, I'm not going to be in your house. I want to be out. So like this value of time and like how I spend it has like negatively impacted the people around me.
Could you say it like that?
That's them though.
No, I would say like, how about we do something else instead? And if they say no, I'll be like, oh, I don't think I can make it. But then they'll know that I go out after, do what I want to do. So they'll see that, oh, she doesn't want to do this, she wanted to do that instead.
For me, like something similar, it's not my time, but my energy. And because I'm very selective with my energy, I've come off very either careless or nonchalant. And it's in some situations it looks bad, and I'm like, it's not that that I don't care or that I'm trying to be nonchalant. It's just I'm trying to help some people understand that a lot of the situations that you give so much energy to, it's just not worth it. It's just, to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth me stressing over. So, but again, the offset of that is, okay, now you're just being nonchalant. Some people just call me an asshole, really. I'm like, yeah, it's not worth your time, and move on from it. And they're like, well, damn, you're not being considerate of my feelings or how I feel about it. I'm like, well, really, you shouldn't feel no type of way about it at all. So I had to deal with that. That was the issue. So I've worked on that.